Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome live onto FPR. It is Nigel Chapman from N-Joi. Good evening, Nigel. How are you doing?
Very well, Vicky. Hi, how are you? Hello, SPR, and hello, Scotland.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing really good, actually. Yeah. It's been a good night, actually, so far, and even better now. So.
I spoke to you earlier on. You were supposed to have a night off as well, and now you have to take time out to speak to us. So I'm really sorry about that.
No worries. No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'm really glad to have a bit of time out, actually. I've been really busy lately, so it's all good. All good.
Well, we've been running a wee poll on the website, and it's just basically what our listeners want to know about N-Joi. So is it okay if we ask you a few wee questions?
Yeah, shoot. Fire away.
How did you first get together?
Well, me and Mark actually have known each other since early days, since school, about 6 years of age, and we grew up together through school. We've been in like numerous school bands together, and sort of we ended up as N-Joi. So it was quite an organic formulation.
Yeah, childhood friends, that's the best way, isn't it? You know each other inside out then.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. You know, it was a very natural collaboration, that's for sure, yeah.
And how was it starting out back in 1989? Because the dance scene was very much underground at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, you know, it was all brand new. You know, it was great going out there, dancing in fields all night long. For the first time, it was, you know, very, very exciting. And it was underground. I mean, there were tracks breaking over. There's like Ride on Time by Black Box and stuff like that, and they were big. But we were very much into this underground M25 party rave scene, basically. And that was our, you know, main source of inspiration to get going. So yeah, no, it was just great to be part of it.
And one of the main questions I'm going to ask you, because everybody wants to know, we've interviewed loads of bands over the past few weeks, and everybody said that their inspiration for dance music was N-Joi. So I want to know, who are your musical inspirations?
Well, I suppose a guy who's like most responsible for kick-starting N-Joi has to be Adamski. Because we used to go around to all of these raves, and week by week we'd just turn up, and he'd be standing up there on stage with a keyboard and a drum machine, and a guy called Chester, a ragamuffin, just going around sort of just MCing with him. And we'd look up at him and just thought, hell, man, we can do that, you know. So that was a guy directly responsible. But we've always been into techno and craft work and, you know, stuff like Depeche Mode or even Soft Cell. There's been a backdrop of all these sort of like 80s electronic bands to our inspiration. But, you know, I have to say, like, there was people like Groove Rider and Fabio and just DJs involved with that scene playing really fresh and new groundbreaking tracks every week. And you just couldn't help but be inspired. So it was eclectic, really. But just the scene generally that we were involved in was an inspiration in itself.
Yeah, and I know you started off purely instrumental, your first track, Adrenaline. How was this for you? Because all the other bands seemed to be using vocals at the time.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact you brought it up. It's not actually, that's not quite how it was. The first track we ever wrote was Anthem.
Right.
And that was back in 1988, 89. And we were listening to like Soul to Soul and, you know, Patty Day, Right Before My Eyes, and Korea, Let Me Love You for the Night, and very vocally tracks. And so Anthem was first written well back then, and in 1988, 89. And it got actually released before Anthem as well in 1990. But it because the following sort of wasn't quite up there at that moment in time, it didn't quite do as well as we thought. So the record company deleted it. And then we put out the next one, which was Adrenaline, by which time we'd been playing for people like Rain Dance and crowds of 10,000, 12,000 people, you know, and the following and the fan base had gone right up. So Adrenaline charted. That was the first one that charted, but it wasn't the first one that was made. And then we came in after that with Anthem, and then that's what hit the number 8 top 10 for us.
And how did you find the transition from underground to hitting the national charts?
Do you know what? At that time, it was quite an easy transition, because there was a lot of people. It wasn't like selling out or anything. It was like people were very proud of us to be in there and actually sort of pushing this underground music to the masses. So it was like we were getting a lot of pats on the back from people like Fabio and Groove Rider and, you know, Joey Beltram and the Prodigy Boys, and people who are in that scene, they go, wicked, man, you know, you kicked in the door for us. And, you know, I guess for the Prodigy, that was very, very true indeed. So, I mean, you know, no, it was a great privilege to be up there. I think, you know, to be fair, 808 State had Cubic and tracks like that in the charts before us, and So there were underground instrumental tracks out there, but yeah, Adrenaline was one of those ones which really did sort of prick up a few eyebrows on top of the pops when we first played it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then you teamed up with Saffron to release Anthem, didn't you, after that? So why did you decide to release Anthem for the second time? Well, not for the second time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well Saffron was in the band with us, you know, as a real part of the band. She was great. She was going around with us and touring and singing. And she did a couple of tracks actually in the live set, and we said, look, can you, and it wasn't actually her vocals on the actual released record because it was 3 samples. It was Gwen Guthrie and Soul to Soul and Darlene Davis on the actual release of Anthem. But we got her to promote it live, and whenever we played live, she actually sang her own version of it. So we kind of naturally just got her to promote the record for us. But you know, it wasn't actually, it was samples on the actual record, so Saffron was a natural choice for us to make to actually perform the record.
After that you released Live in Manchester, which, I mean, I think it was a completely different sound to what you'd done before. What made you decide to do this?
Well, it was kind of a mixed decision, really. That was Live in Manchester was the live set that we were playing at the time, and we were under pressure from Deconstruction Records to put out another single because we were kind of on a roll. And in those days, the single rules, as far as duration was concerned, were very much more relaxed, and you could put out a single for 20 minutes in duration, and it would be still classed as a single. But nowadays, it has to be like 2.5, 3 minutes, and that's that. So they said, look, we've got an idea. We want to put out a live. It will be like an album, a live album, but it will be actually a single, so we could chart with it and therefore keep your profile up and everything. And we said, oh, okay, fair enough. And at the time, we thought it'd be a really good idea for the fans and everything to get that down on vinyl. And you know, as it turned out, it was really, you know, a popular record for us.
I know Adrenaline charted at number 19, Anthem at number 8, and Live in Manchester at number 12. I think I've got my facts right there.
You have, very, very much so. Yeah, well done, Vicky. Yeah,
thank you. But where do you think it took off for yours?
I have to say, it's probably when Anthem did chart on number 8 in the charts there, because after that there was just this whole sort of run of events. We got this interest from America. Pretty much at the same time, Anthem got the Billboard #1 out there, and that's when we had a phone call from Madonna, and she asked us to work with her, and we were then all of a sudden touring the States, and it was crazy just overnight, you know, just going around the world and playing, and we were just like swept off our feet. So I'd say probably when we had the top 10 record here, there was this rave phenomenon that started, and just America couldn't quite get their heads around it. They were thinking, hang on a minute, how come we haven't discovered this? How come it's just this British thing going on? And they just had us out there playing around, and they were really fascinated with us. And Madonna is like, you know, quick on the case to be on anything cutting edge, and she gave us a call, and that sort of blew us away, really. So that was when it all started.
And I spoke to quite a lot of Scottish dance bands, and they said that you've paved the way for them. How does that make you feel, knowing that you kind of started it all?
Very, very honoured, really. I mean, it's a privileged position to be in, to sort of be respected like that by anybody. I mean, I've got my own fans and people, as I probably mentioned to you before, that I look up to, who are kind of very, causal in getting us started. So to be in that position, to be sort of looked up to by any, other bands, is it's a great position to be in, really, and I thank them for that. So that's cool.
And I know that in 1992, I think it was, Andrew Loveday joined you, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What made you decide you needed a third person?
Well, basically, I was working with Andrew. I was doing film scores for his company. He's got a film company, and we were sort of doing quite a lot of work together. And Mark and I sort of knew him, and basically we decided that to sort of reignite N-Joi, it would be quite good to have somebody who was really sort of fresh and enthusiastic in there. Mark and I kind of done our different things and everything. The reason why we weren't even thinking about restarting N-Joi, we were just thinking about re-releasing Anthem because there was this popular demand for it. And then because the demand grew into like this, resurgence of a fan base and people coming back to us and this major interest occurring again, we thought, okay, well, hang on a minute, why don't we kick off N-Joi again? So it was quite an organic and natural thing.
Excellent. I know the dancing kind of seemed to die down a wee bit, and you you and Mark kind of went your own ways for quite a while. Can you tell us a wee bit about what you were doing yourself?
Yeah, I suppose like mid-90s and stuff, I started up a record label with my brother Mike, who manages the Prodigy. It was called CSMF Records, and we put out quite a few tracks on that, and I signed some stuff to Perfecto Records, and then I went on to produce for Subliminal Records, Eric Murillo's label, and then I had my own record label with Nucleus Records called Nucleus Yellow, and I produced under a name called Champion Burns and also a Majestic 12. So I was pretty active as a producer throughout those years. Then I met up with Andrew Loveday, who you mentioned before, and started doing film score work and incidental bits and pieces for movies and stuff. And then there was this resurgence of old school, like an old school revival kind of thing, and that's when me and Mark said, well, hang on a minute, we kind of started a lot of that stuff ourselves, so let's have a go at reviving that and getting that going, and that's what came to be. That's kind of the story, really.
So is that why you decided to come back together as N-Joi?
Yeah, that's right. And Mark was pretty busy himself. He was doing quite a few different productions for different companies and stuff, and pretty much in the hard house domain, tidy tracks and stuff like that. I knew he did a lot of stuff too, but we went on our own journeys, really.
Really silly question, but where did you get the name N-Joi?
N-Joi comes from a hip-hop album that was out in 1987. We went into this local record store in Southend, and we just saw this album up on the wall, and it said N-Joi, and it's spelled how you normally spell N-Joi. And we thought, well, that looks good, really, really good. And then we thought, well, how do we let about spelling that in a slightly different way? And we thought, well, Nige is N, so let's go N dash and Joy like that. So we just thought, let's spell it differently, and it looks good and sounds good, so let's call it that. It wasn't really anything no rocket science involved, but yeah, and it just stuck, really.
And there's a huge old school revival at the moment. How's this working out for you guys?
Yeah, it's great because it's sort of led to other things, really. It's been a bridge to making new stuff, and there's a real sort of sound, which there's a whole new school sound out there, which has got like this old school flavour about it, new school electro house, and it's very much us because it reminds us of where we started, but with the fresh production values and stuff. So we're kind of getting into that. So yeah, we're very grateful for the revival, but we're not going to sort of just rest on that. We're going to push on to new ground, really.
Excellent. What's the best gig that you've ever played?
Well, it would be there were so many. Limelight in New York was a real good one. GMEX Centre with 808 State in Manchester was great because that was just crazy. It was like 12,000 people, proper arena, It was the first real big one we did. But having said that, there's been really great gigs up in Scotland. Colours gigs up at the Arches there in Glasgow with Ricky McGowan and stuff like that. We've had some great gigs in there, smaller crowds, but really up for it. There's too many to mention, really, but there's a few for you.
We went to Fantasia in January. Sadly, we missed the one in September, but we were there in January, and I've always wanted to know, how does it feel when you walk onto stage and there's all those thousands of people chanting your name? How does that feel?
Yeah, really bizarre, actually, because also we hadn't had that much attention for quite a long time, so we went out there, and it was just amazing to see all those people, and just what a fantastic crowd. We're really, really looking forward to coming back and doing the one in January, actually. Yeah,
I know you've got the one coming up in January, but where else can we catch you at the moment?
Well, we've been sort of DJing in various different places, and we've got that is actually the next gig. We were going to be DJing in Aberdeen, and we've been playing out in Europe as well. But yeah, the next show is going to be the Fantasia one, and the best thing to do is really to catch us on just look us up on the MySpace N-Joi Music, and that will be listed where we're going to be playing next.
And are there any plans in the pipelines to release new material?
Yeah, we've been working on quite a few bits and pieces. We're going to be doing a track in the new year with Jocelyn Brown, and we've done a track with one of the biggest female artists out in Romania called Laura Donna, and that's already on our website. It's called Naked Soul. And we're quite busy in that. We're really now like getting going with everything. We've done a remix for this group called Client, who are like an electro girl band. managed by Alan McGee, who's Oasis's manager, and they're looking like they're going to be doing some good stuff. So that's going really well for us at the moment. So yeah, it's slowly getting the engine turning again. But it's just we've had this massive fan base coming back to us through the MySpace thing, which has been crazy. So it's given us a really good cause to start the whole thing again, you know.
So what's the plans for the future for N-Joi?
Well, we're just carrying on enthusiastically in the positive direction, you know. We're just going to be writing stuff, we're going to be remixing, we're going to be DJing, and we're going to be coming across. When we DJ, we're going to be playing live as well as DJing as well, so we're going to be playing live keyboards over the top, so it's not just like static beat matching record to record. It's going to be, you know, kicking old school live samples and trying to sort of spin people's heads out as much as we can, really.
And what's your plans for Christmas this year? Is it a working Christmas, or are you getting some time off?
There were a few gigs penciled in, actually. There was this one up in Aberdeen, and I think there was one up in Chesterfield as well, but I think Mark's doing that one, and yeah, I think the one in Aberdeen's been moved to February now, so yeah, it's looking like it could be a restful Christmas, so I'm quite looking forward to that.
I bet you will be looking forward to some time off.
Definitely, yeah, that's for sure.
Nigel, I would like to thank you very much for taking time out to speak to us right here on FPR. Thank you very much.
Vicky, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nigel Chapman from N-Joi.